this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. It's just a very quick video today, just a couple of things. I've just been going around with a sprayer doing the mounts and watered the cooler, shadier ones. That's the Miltoniopsis, Masdevallias, Draculas, Restrepias. Is that it? Yeah, that sort of thing. Anyway, they're a little set. And that caught my eye, so I thought I'm going to get the camera out and catch that while it's in the sun. The filtered sun is just coming through on that bloom, and as it's the last one, I thought we'd have a nice close-up look at that to start. It truly is a very, very attractive bloom. There's no getting away from that. We'll have a wait now before we get some more, I suppose, but yeah. We need some new growths to get some more. The other thing I wanted to show you, this is, I won't say worrying, but a little surprising. The Phalaenopsis type Dendrobium Thai Angel has just opened its first bloom. Now that is a little smaller than last time round, but boy is it a darker colour. My memory of this is pink. That's more purple than pink, and the tessellations are very, very faint, whereas normally they show quite well. So that's come out quite differently this time, and you sort of think, well, why? What can do that sort of thing? Well, the most obvious thing is change of media, but can that really affect bloom colour? Time of year, perhaps? I'm not fussed, I'm not worried. It's a good colour. But the blooms look a little smaller than last time round, but then there's more of them. You sort of swing some roundabouts, I suppose. That's how stuff goes. This Vanda's looking good now. This is a strange one because when it opens, the colour's not as nice. It's a bronzy colour that almost looks like a dirty orange, but literally, see if you see that colour there, it looks a bit dirty. And yet after a few days it clears and becomes a nice bright orange like it is here. So yeah, it's looking good. Second spike's just starting to open now as well. Not sure I've ever had two spikes actually open at the same time on that one, but we have now. There's not much else I've noticed that's coming into bud or anything that's unusual. I mean, all the big Miltonias are now all open. So we've got the Morelliana, the deep coloured one, and then we've got the, whatever this one is, I always flip and forget that one. Spectabilis, this one. And then just opened its first one is the Regnellii. So all three of the biggies open. We've got a face-to-face meeting on Friday, Bournemouth Orchid Society. So obviously the show tables that were virtual, since the beginning of last year, we had a newsletter with a virtual show that, I was handling all the pictures and everything for that. We're going back to having a proper show table now where we actually take some plants. So I might actually take one of these along and actually just stick it in for interest, if nothing else. And our meeting's in a totally different place because they won't let us have the numbers in the place we normally go because basically the people who make the decisions are not keeping up with the times. So they're restricting our numbers based on government regulations about 3 months ago. They haven't caught up with the fact that the government have lifted all the restrictions now. So we can't use our normal place. We're having to pay twice as much for another place for this one meeting. And then the following month it's our show, and then the following month we'll worry about it then. And then the month after that it's our Christmas do. So we've only got one more meeting after this one this year to worry about. So oh, and I want to show you this as well. The other Vanda that I've got is what I call the big blue one. It isn't really blue, it's a purplish blue, but it hasn't bloomed for some time. But as I put it in the water, we've got a spike coming. Now, once upon a time that bloomed right into the winter. Now that spike's going to take some considerable time to develop, get its buds and actually open. So we may well be heading in, well, we'll certainly be in the autumn by the time it opens. But looking forward to that, that's missed a year completely. Or it just didn't attempt to bloom. And it has put on quite a bit of growth since then. You know, it's put on quite a few new leaves, so we shall see. So I'm keeping my eye on this one because the other Vanda got covered in little bugs and did that to it. Basically ruined its look. It seemed to be coming out reasonable now, but you know, it was little bugs that then got infected, and they were tiny enough that I just couldn't see them. I think it was a form of mite, some sort of mite, but gone now. And they didn't get on any other plant, which was weird. Anyway, the Phalaenopsis Thai Angel is starting to open its blooms now, so I'll probably dig that one out of there and put it somewhere a bit more prominent. And yeah, the Brassia's still looking good. These are lasting well. So, giant blooms. It's funny, a lot of people look at a Brassia bloom at the centre and think, well, they're not that big, are they? But yeah, they are. Tip to toe, massive. Anyway, I might do a little bit of repotting this afternoon. I've still got a little list of stuff that hasn't been repotted since I got it. It's not desperate, but it ought to be done. I've got my Miltoniopsis Venus, that primary cross that came from Burnham's, that hasn't been repotted yet. There's 2 Restrepias that are in pure moss that haven't been repotted yet, that ought to be done, really. So there's those 3, those could all be done. They could all be done at the same time, quite honestly, because chances are they'll all go in. It's a matter of what they go in, if you see what I mean. And if they're all going to go in the same mix, it pays to repot them all at the same time. Then you've only got one mess and one mix to mix up, so I may well do that. There's something else that hasn't been repotted as well. Yeah, that big Dendrobium speciosum or whatever it is up the back there. Is it? Or is that Spectabilis? I always get those two muddled up. Spectabile. That still needs a repot because it's in a bucket, basically. But the new growth has matured now, so I'm not quite sure what to do with it. If I take it out of its pot now, I doubt if it's got any new roots coming. But could do with going in a much smaller pot. Might have to wait. Anyway, I may have a go at a bit of repotting, a bit of kitchen time this afternoon, just sort of catch up. So there's not much left to do really, and the 2 Restrepias in the moss, it's not an urgent repot. The moss, you know, I've lifted them out today, just before I watered them to see how wet they were, and they don't smell, they're not smelling off or anything like that. But you know what I'm like, I'm not too keen on moss, especially when it gets a bit compacted. It can take a root system down. And certainly that little Miltoniopsis, that appears to be in something very strange, because it feels like it's giant pieces of bark, but it's all covered in moss. So I'm not quite sure what's in that pot. And plus it's in a black pot, so I can't tell. Yeah, the two Restrepias are in non-clear pots as well. I like to see what's going on. And then there's a couple that came from Marius that are not in clear pots, but I know that when he got the Dendrobium collection from Jeff Hands, he repotted everything without fail, or remounted, or he dealt with them. So although they're not in a media that I know it's fresh. I mean, this is one here. Looks like it's in a mixture of bark, stones, that coarse moss. But it's been recently done, so there's no urgency whatsoever to even think about doing that. And then there's the this big one over here as well. This is in bark and stones by the looks of it. That's the Frosty Dawn Red Lip. 2 nice growths on there. So yeah, I think we'll have a kitchen session this afternoon. But as far as new buds and new things, there isn't much. That's really it. It's just that time of year now. So most things are late winter, spring into early summer that I've got. The Miltonias are late. You know, they're sort of they're towards the end of summer into the autumn. We've got the Orangus to come. 2 spikes on the Orangus, so we've got some. So I thought I saw another spike on that Orangus. It's a root disguised as a spike. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to get anything off the Cattleyas for some considerable time. Most of those are in a bit of a mess. But some are okay, you know, some should still mature a growth and push some buds out in the not too distant future. So, okay, so just a quick one really today, and I'll see you next time. This is lasting well, but I've took about 4 blooms off of this yesterday. So see they're dropping, they collapse basically, and then they fall off if I don't get to them first. You're getting muddled up with this, which is roughly the same colours. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.